Oh, man. Took a long time to get here, but we here. Friday, Friday before championship, Sunday, the last weekend of football in January, but more importantly, the last weekend where we will have multiple games, which means the season's over. This is it. I mean, after this, it's the Super Bowl, and then off into the offseason abyss we go. So enjoy this weekend, especially if your team's playing. This is the best time of the year. For those of us who are spectators, we're accustomed to this. Enjoy this because the Super Bowl is cool and it's usually anticlimactic. Although I will say, of all the products that we get championship wise, the NFL delivers more times than not, more so than any other major sports here in the US. But nonetheless, championship Sunday. That's all we got left, essentially. Looking forward to it. I can't recall a more even championship Sunday than the one we're about to embark upon. So we're going to talk about that and a number of other topics here on the Louie T Network podcast that starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 313th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me here on this Friday evening. You could be doing so many other things, but you're here kicking it with the kid, and I appreciate you greatly. Thus, I will not hijack your time. Won't hold you up and keep you any longer than I need to. We will jump straight into the proceedings this evening. You know how we do it. We start off with a gem dropping session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. What was one of the things that I said before the season started? One of the things that I was confident in, and I was laughing my ass off about it, because anybody with a set of peepers could see that this was a train wreck. Now, off the strength of Bill Belichick, they still managed to make it to 8-9, and literally were within a game of making it to the playoffs. They win in week 18 at Buffalo. They make it to the playoffs. But it was a disaster in 2022. And I told you guys, I said, it's funny. So I know most of you know this, but for those of you who don't, I have another channel that I am about to, get back on track with. I haven't posted a video on that channel since August. I didn't realize it had been that long. But I am also a card collector, and that's a hobby that I enjoy. I did as a kid. I jumped back into it like many people did during the COVID shutdown. And one of the things that was a hot ticket item last year was Mac Jones rookie cards. Everyone was after him. He looked like the next Tom Brady for some, and his cards were selling for a ton of money. And I very vividly remember telling anyone that would listen in the hobby, if you've got Mac Jones cards, sell them now. Their value will never be as high as they are right now, because Josh McDaniels is gone and Bill Belichick has absolutely no idea what the hell he wants to do. And literally, that came to fruition. I mean, the Patriots were hard to watch. And I remember last offseason, as we neared training camp, they were asking Patriots players, what to expect from the offense. And he was like, look, man, that's above my pay grade. Somebody else said, look, I don't know what the hell we're doing on offense, but, it is what it is. You could tell that it was disjointed. Guys had no idea what they were doing. And there was an article today that kind of chronicled everything that took place last year. You had one Belichickian staffer say, look, I love Coach Belichick, but he effed us this year. I mean, that's an all-time quote, right? Love Belichick, man. Love coach, but he effed us this year. This whole Joe Judge, Matt Patricia thing was an abject disaster. It was an epic fail. And none of the players could stand Joe Judge. I don't know what the hell Joe Judge thinks of himself. I don't know what he thinks he is or who he thinks he is. But I think him being around Nick Saban and Bill Belichick made him think that he was those guys. One small problem, Joe, old Joey J. You ain't won shit. You ain't done shit. You ain't won shit. You ain't led shit. Okay, you're a follower. You're not a leader. And when he tries to be a leader, he's a poser. And one thing about grown ass men is they can see right through your bullshit. All right. You can come with that rah-rah shit. Ain't nobody trying to hear that, man. That shit falls on deaf ears. Those players couldn't stand Joe Judge. Belichick used to kill him in practice almost every day. He's screaming at position groups that he has nothing to do with. They're like, bro, you're not even supposed to be over here. Get the hell out of here. That's the same shit he was doing in New York, making coaches run loud. I mean, we don't have to go down that road again. Joe Judge is a clown, man. And I don't know what the hell Belichick, because, that's what we see in this profession all the time. If your buddy gets canned, what do? Hey, bro, as long as I'm working, you always got a job. That's how the NFL works. Another case in point, the latest example of this, I actually thought his brother was going to hire him. But Matt LaFleur, his brother, got fired as the offensive coordinator in New York with the Jets. And I just was sure that his brother was like, yo, you can come on my staff, kick it. I'll give you some random erroneous title that nobody actually knows what the hell this guy does, but you'll be on the squad, and if, somebody else leaves, boom, you can have a job, or I could just make you like the assistant offensive coordinator or some shit I just made up. The special assistant to the offensive coordinator, some crazy shit like that, right? I just like, oh, he's just going with his brother then. It'll be Matt and Mike LaFleur. But you also know that Sean McVay, all of those are Sean McVay's boys. We talked about this already. If you had Sean McVay's number in your phone and you could FaceTime him, you got a job 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago now. You got a job. Zach Taylor, Matt LaFleur, what's my man's name? I'm blanking on his name, but yeah, Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, it was a slew of those boys that was getting work off the strength of Sean McVay's name. And I just figured he'd be going to Green Bay to work with his brother. But Sean was like, nah, I got him, man. You ain't, nah. Because, they're going to try to, bring that nepotism shit up. Don't worry about it. I got him. Hey, Mike, you can come with me. Mike LaFleur is now the offensive coordinator, which is the most token job there is in the NFL, because Mike won't be calling a damn thing as long as Sean McVay is there. Sean McVay is the play caller in LA for the Rams, but that's nor here nor there. I say all of that to say this. Belichick has always been one to rescue his boys. Unless you do them dirty when you leave, you can't come back if you do them dirty. Like the dude that went to the Jets. I always forget his name. Then he ended up working for ESPN for a little bit. Damn, I can't remember his name, but they had some battles. That's when the Jets were trying to rekindle the magic they had under Rex Ryan. He went over there and he was the one that uncovered Deflategate and all of that shit. Not Deflategate. The first cheating scandal they had. He was the one that kind of outed them and tried to get them in trouble. He was the only one that was not allowed to come back. But every other dude that got fired, you could always go back to New England, man. They all get fired. None of those dudes ever work in the league. How many Belichick disciples have we seen go get a head coaching job, get fired in 2 to 3 years, and go right back to New England? It happens all the time. It happened with Matt Patricia. It happened with Joe Judge. It happened with um, uh, what's the head coach in Vegas for the Raiders? Josh McDaniels. That was the move. He didn't have to give Joe Judge any offensive responsibility, though. He could have made him the assistant special teams coordinator or some shit. Like, I don't know what the fascination with, because I get it. If you know ball, right? So it doesn't matter if you were a defensive coach your entire life, you should be able to coach offense. You've been trying to stop offense, so you should know how to coach up offense. I don't necessarily love that mindset. If you can coach, it's one thing to coach a position group. Like if you can coach DBs, you can coach wide receivers, or you can coach tight ends. I get it. Yeah, again, if you know ball, you know ball. But it's one thing to be a defensive coordinator, calling plays, in control of the defense, and then be asked to now call the offense. Shit doesn't work that way to me. Like you got to have that mindset to be an offensive play caller or defensive play caller. Could you imagine an offensive guy, his entire life saying, all right, I'm about to be a defensive coordinator? That's crazy to me. So why do you do that on offense? I don't really get that. If you're an offensive guy, you're an offensive guy. If you're a defensive guy, you're a defensive guy. But over the last 5 years, I've seen those lines blurred a ton. Raheem Morris at one point was like a wide receivers coach for the Rams, and he was like a running backs coach, like around the league. He had different jobs at different stops, and it was all on the offensive side. He gets an offensive job initially with the Rams, and then next thing I know, he's coaching the defense, and he's the defensive coordinator. I'm like, what the F is going on, man? But again, if you know ball, you know ball. You should be able to teach everything. And okay, cool, whatever. That was a disaster in New England. Players can't stand Joe Judge. The article that I read said that Mac Jones used to cuss Joe Judge out all the time. And look, Mac was cussing everybody out. You remember the Monday night game against the Cardinals where he was snapping on Matt Patricia? Then he throws a touchdown pass, and they're over there on the sideline singing "Kumbaya." Like Mac Jones was snapping on people. Mac Jones he's crazy too. I don't know if y'all realize that. Mac Jones is crazy. Like there's something off there with Mac Jones a little bit. Like he's a cool dude until he's not. But I think that's one of the qualities that I probably would like about him if he played for my team. But that's nor here nor there. At the end of the day, they went. The one thing I can always say about Belichick is he's not too proud to beg. All right, on some TLC shit. He ain't too proud to beg. He realized, yeah, I effed up last year. That was on me. I'm gonna fix it though. Here comes another old Belichickian disciple who needs work coming back home. Bill O'Brien is the offensive coordinator now. It's a great move, honestly. I think Mac Jones is going to flourish under Bill O'Brien's tutelage. You can say a lot of things about Bill O'Brien. Not a good GM, not a great evaluator of talent, and don't let him anywhere near your trade board, okay? Because he'll do some really, really negligent shit with your trade, your draft capital, and your players, and yeah, he can be a little bit off when it comes to that stuff. But the dude knows offense. Did it at Penn State, did it in Houston, did it at Alabama. Now he's going to do it for the Patriots. I think he did it in New England too, before he got the head coaching job at Penn State, if I'm not mistaken. So Bill O'Brien knows offense, knows how to get guys open. I think Mac Jones is going to flourish again. I don't know to what extent. I don't necessarily love the talent that the Patriots have, but they're not void of talent. So I think this will be a good match for them. And I don't know, the first indications of the offseason for the Patriots were that Joe Judge was going to be fired. But here we are heading to the Senior Bowl, and Joe Judge is in tow with the rest of the squad. So I don't know what's going on there. But as long as they don't let him anywhere near the offense, I think everything will be fine. We'll see what happens. But I did get a kick out of the fact that thing was an abject disaster. And who didn't see that coming, right? Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the next segment, social media maneuvers. I'm a midnight marauder. Y'all know what it is. You got any comments? You know how to hit me. Use the hashtag LouieTLive to have your comment read on the air if it's pertinent. If you want to jump straight to the front of the line, super chats are the way to do it. Let's talk about some of these head coaching jobs real quick, and then we'll get to some comments. So, Frank Reich is the new head coach in Carolina. Good for Frank Reich. But you know what sucks is that Steve Wilks coached his ass off. Yet again, another brother going out here, getting shit done, and his efforts essentially being overlooked, diminished, and unappreciated. The Panthers were the laughing stock of the NFL at one point this season with Baker Mayfield and PJ Walker and the likes. It was a mess. They were awful. They were on track to have the number 1 overall pick at one point. And then Steve Wilks takes over after they fire Matt Rule, and he injects life into that team. And the players love Steve Wilks, and they're advocating for him. By season's end, every player to a man on that team is saying, we want Steve Wilks to be our next head coach. And not that that matters, right? You want the players to want the coach to be there, but at the end of the day, the owner has say-so. He has final say as to what goes down. And clearly he didn't think that Steve Wilks was the man for the job. That's unfortunate. I don't have a problem with Frank Reich, but I would have loved to have seen Steve Wilks get an opportunity. Clearly that's not going to happen. And Wilks will probably have to go be someone's defensive coordinator because he's not going to get another job, right? That's the problem that I have with brothers, a lot of times is you got to take jobs. This is the dilemma you run into. And I've done this before. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I've done this before. I don't want to get on my soapbox because, again, I've done this before. So I don't want to bore you with shit that you've already heard from me. But this situation just kind of reinvigorates that conversation for me, which is brothers it's you damned if you do, damned if you don't. You get an opportunity and you got to jump at it. You get guys like Dan Quinn who he gets to go back to Dallas comfortably saying, you know what, I'm good. I'm gonna go back. It's unfinished business in Dallas. I'm good. Look, this year I've stated this, and I think the way that this thing has turned out with coaches not signing on quickly and other coaches with opportunities like Ben Johnson in Detroit turning down opportunities to go back to their current teams. I think this is a sign that this is the worst offseason in terms of vacancies that we've seen in quite some time. There were no desirable jobs this offseason. The Denver job would have been the one job that I would have been interested in if you trust Russell Wilson. And we can't say that for sure. I still think he's got football left in him. But that was a shit show last year. So even that portion of it makes you pause with Denver. I'm not interested in Arizona with Kyler Murray, and he's coming off of an injury. I'm not interested in Indianapolis. That's a shit show there. I'm not interested in Carolina. They got a lot of stuff going on. Still don't have a quarterback. And I'm not interested in Houston. Definitely not interested in that job. So, and DeMeco Ryans is going to get that job. I told y'all that 3 weeks ago. That's DeMeco Ryans' job to turn down. Ex-Texans player, was a damn good Texan when he was there. He's a hot commodity right now. He continues to win in the postseason. If he wants the job in Houston, it's his. It looks like it's going to be his job if he wants it. We'll see what happens there. But this isn't the best year, to be a free agent coach, that's looking for work if you want a really good gig. That said, the thing I can't stand is that brothers don't get an opportunity to say, nah, I'm good. Hell, we over here begging teams to give the Chiefs offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, an opportunity. We've been begging for 4 off seasons for this man to get work, right? I heard some crazy number like he's interviewed for like 18 or 28 different jobs or some craziness. The number may be even higher than that. And he still hasn't gotten a gig for whatever reason. Again, if he got a job, he'd have to jump at it. He can't turn down an opportunity. If the, you know, if the Tennessee Titans got rid of Mike Vrabel and they offered him, he'd have to take that job. He didn't have a choice. He can't say, "Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to Kansas City and they got something special there, and I think they could win another 2 Super Bowls. I'm gonna just kick it in Kansas City for a little bit." No, he's got to take the job because he may not get another opportunity. And then if he's not ready, a la Steve Wilkes in Arizona, if he's not ready, a la Vance Joseph in Denver, and you get your ass cooked after a year or two, I think Joseph got a second year and he was terrible. You ain't getting another job. And if you do, you got to be the defensive coordinator on the. First of all, are there any black offensive coordinators? I ask this question all the time. Other than Jim Caldwell, are there any black offensive coordinators in the NFL? Somebody help me with that. Do those exist? Do we not know how to call offense? Eric Bieniemy, we could talk about that. He's not really the play caller in Kansas City. I mean, he calls the plays in, but is he actually the one, we should run this here, we should throw it in? I don't think that's what he's doing. I think Andy's in control of that stuff, but that's nor here nor there. Bieniemy is, I think, currently the only black offensive coordinator, and Jim Caldwell is probably the most notable one we've had in the last decade, and, / head coach. Every brother got to be a defensive coordinator for whatever reason. Anyway, I digress. I hate what just happened to Steve Wilkes. I thought he earned that. The same shit happened to Rich Bisaccia. I'm not telling you anything that, this NFL thing is just business. You hear players talk about it all the time. It's business. And Rich Bisaccia didn't sell tickets. Josh McDaniels does. Steve Wilkes doesn't sell tickets. I don't think Frank Reich does either, but we'll see what happens in Carolina. I think that's more of I want an offensive-minded guy here because we're going to go get us a quarterback. We're not doing the quarterback carousel shit anymore. We're going to go get us a quarterback, and I want an offensive-minded guy who's been a quarterback in this league to groom the next guy here. I want him to be paired and married with an offensive mind that can, be together for the next decade. Okay, cool. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, let's get to the comment section, see if y'all got anything to say. Rich says, Bills need a real run game and better trenches on both sides if they want to move on. I think the Bills, they have tried to build. Understand that Von Miller was the big offseason prize for them. Their trenches on the defensive side were just fine. That wasn't the issue up until Von Miller got hurt. Now, I know they got gashed in the run game against Cincinnati, but, truth be told, they couldn't stop Cincinnati. I was talking to Boss Man, and Boss Man was like, because he predicted Cincinnati would win. And he said it was just too easy in the game in Cincinnati in like week 15 when DeMar Hamlin went down. They had already went down the field and scored. And if you guys recall, they had the ball and they were moving it down the field again when DeMar Hamlin collapsed. So they were on their way to getting more points. They were already up 7-3. So they couldn't stop Cincinnati. But I agree with you wholeheartedly about the run game. They've got to be a bit more dedicated to running the football. And if you're not going to run the football effectively, you better be a damn good, pass game designer, and you better be an excellent play caller. Because Brian Daboll, there was a playoff game last year against the Ravens, I want to say it was, or 2 years ago, where Daboll, the Bills didn't run the football for the first 20 plays. It was like 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And they didn't run the ball one time in the first 3 20, 25 plays. It was all passes. But you can manufacture passes that act as the run game. But that's not what they're doing in Buffalo. Everything was either, 50 million yards down the field or was Josh Allen running. It was like no in between. Nothing underneath, nothing short to the backside of the backfield. It was either Josh is going to sling it 45 yards down the field or he's running it, which is insane. Derek B. writes, Ron needs to keep an eye on the Packers. Either Rodgers or Love will be traded on draft weekend. If they keep Rodgers, no way do they pick up Love's fifth-year option. They have to sit him or have him sit, excuse me. I've already said the Packers are picking up Jordan Love's fifth-year option. They're going to trade Rodgers this offseason. I just listening to Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, he sounds like a man that has already talked to the Packers organization and that they've mutually agreed to part ways. It's just a matter of where he's going to end up. I did hear him say he'd be willing to take a pay cut or a restructured deal. That sounds like something he would only do for Green Bay. He has no loyalty to any other team in the league. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm sitting here and it's $50 million the next 2 years, I don't give a shit about that. If he wants to enhance his legacy, and that's what it should be about. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you got enough State Farm commercials, you got enough money off the field, you've made enough money in your career, you got all these different endorsements going on. You don't need. It's not about the bread anymore. Because you can get that. And when your career's over, there's more bread there for you if you want it. Various different things you can do. If you want to be a part of the league still, there's, you could jump on somebody's booth. You can jump in somebody's studio show. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. He's an eccentric guy. He wants to do stuff like Jeopardy. Anyway, I say all that to say this. He needs a second Super Bowl. He needs a second Super Bowl. He needs to be in that same conversation with Eli and Peyton and those guys that got that second Super Bowl win. He needs another one. You don't want to be in that Drew Brees conversation where you just got one. He needs one more. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'll do whatever the hell it takes. If that means taking a pay cut, if that means restructuring my deal to go somewhere where I feel like they got a chance to win and I'm the missing piece, so be it. He's going to be traded this offseason. I'm adamant about that. I don't do the trade thing. I'm normally the one that says, man, he ain't getting traded, man. I'm normally that guy. I'm telling you, the Packers are moving forward with the future. They can't wait for Rodgers any longer. They had their window with Rodgers. That shit is closed. We saw that last year. That window is closed in Green Bay. Now you got a bunch of young guys. You might as well let them grow with Jordan Love. Take your lumps with Jordan Love and these young receivers, and you watch them come of age together and hope that they can do something special 2-3 years down the road. Aaron Rodgers, his time is come and gone in Green Bay. When they traded Devontae Adams, that window slammed shut. So he might as well go ahead, look for an opportunity somewhere else where he'll have a chance to win. And wherever that may be, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's Indy, whether it's New York with the Jets. Did y'all see the Nathaniel Hackett thing? He seems to be the one guy that's like this bargaining chip that every team thinks that they can throw in to the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, right? Like the Broncos hired Nathaniel Hackett off the strength of him being able to get them Aaron Rodgers. Should he become available, he didn't. But that was the sole reason they hired him. Like, I guess he's all right at offense, but if he gets Aaron Rodgers, we're set. Well, he didn't get Aaron Rodgers, so they had to settle for Russell Wilson. That was a disaster. They fired him because he didn't do the one thing they brought him there to do, which was to get Aaron Rodgers on board. So now the Jets are like, we need an offensive coordinator. Think we can get Aaron Rodgers? I'm not sure, but the best way, to put us in a position to get us Aaron Rodgers is to get Nathaniel Hackett. That's his boy. So he's now the offensive coordinator in New York, and let the games begin. Aaron Rodgers will be traded this offseason. Just a matter of where, not a matter of if, it's when and where. It could be draft night. I don't think it's draft night. I think it's before the draft. Aaron Rodgers will be traded before we get to draft night. I think Aaron Rodgers will be traded sometime in March. If not March, early April. He'll be traded before we get to the draft. I feel confident in making that assertion. Let's see. Derek B says a third for Love would have me listening. This is the thing you got to understand. They're not trading Jordan Love because they see him as the future. The Packers didn't even make the playoffs this year. You think they're going to trade Jordan Love and keep Aaron Rodgers for whatever, length of time he has left in his career, whether that's 2 or 3 more years? We were talking about whether that was his last game walking off the field with his arm around Randall Cobb, which I told y'all in the moment after that game was done, I said, he's not done. Trust me. Aaron Rodgers is playing again next season. Don't worry about it. He loves to soak up that limelight, and leave that, that ambiguity out there, right? He loves to be ambiguous, so you don't really know what he's thinking, but I'm like, he's coming back. Trust me. And he's pretty much said, I could still be the MVP quarterback that I was last season and the year before that. He's playing. Now it's just a matter of where. But the Packers, they're trying to go seamlessly into the next franchise quarterback. They didn't trade up in the 2020 NFL draft to get Jordan Love just to trade him away 3 years later, 4 years later. Like, that's not why they did that. They went up to get him because they saw Aaron Rodgers like qualities in him, and they think he could be the next big thing that the next guy that they passed the baton to, the torch to in Green Bay. The Packers are like the Steelers of the quarterback game. Steelers have had 3 coaches probably in the last 50 some odd years. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin. They don't mess around. They just seamlessly pass the baton to the next guy, and they don't miss. The Packers are the same way at quarterback. It's been Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and it's going to be Jordan Love. Now, I don't know if he's going to continue in that lineage where they don't miss and this guy's their quarterback for the next 12 to 15 years, but that's what they're hoping. They're not trading him. It's Rodgers that's getting traded. Because if you trade Jordan Love and Rodgers plays 2 more years, now you're looking for a quarterback. Hell no, I'm not doing that. If I think Jordan Love is the guy, and they've seen him at practice every day. They saw him run the OTAs and training camp when Rodgers was out last year. They know what they have in this guy. They know what they have, or at least what they think they have. They ain't trading him. Niners fan, are you a Stroud or Young guy? Young size is concerning, so I think teams will view Stroud as the number one. I'm a Young guy, personally. Stroud did show me something in the playoff game against Georgia. Some things that I didn't know he was capable of. He's got that kind of aloof type of mannerism out there on the field. But that game, he played with an energy and an emotion that I hadn't seen. His mobility in and outside of the pocket was outstanding in that game. He eluded rushers, threw on the move accurately. He showed me some things that I think people were looking for from him to solidify him as one of the top tier quarterbacks in the draft. And, it was similar to the game that Justin Fields had against Clemson that had people talking reckless, like he should be in the running for the number 1 overall pick. I was like, man, shut up. Shut that shit up. He ain't no damn number 1 overall pick. It was a hell of a game, though. And it showed people that he had toughness. He could throw the ball accurately. Things that they wanted to see from him on a more consistent basis. They saw it on a big stage. That helps. But I still think Bryce Young's got everything I'm looking for other than size. That's the one thing. If Bryce Young were 6'2", we wouldn't even be having this conversation. If Bryce Young were 6'4", it'd be a slam dunk, no brainer. But he's 5'11", man. You know, I can't even put that man at 6 feet. He's 5'11", and he's probably more like 5'10", to be honest with you. But I don't care. I've gotten past that with what we've seen come into the league the last 3-4 years. I don't really give a shit about that anymore. It used to be a big problem for me, you know. But after watching Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and all these smaller quarterbacks come in the league and have some success, I don't trip off of that anymore. I mean, you got Justin Herbert at 6'6", probably leading the league in batted balls because he's throwing everything sidearm. What difference does it make? You know, just give me the dude that I trust to get it done with the game on the line and has the demeanor of Jalen Hurts with the leadership qualities of a Tom Brady. Give me that shit. That's what I see in Bryce Young, except he probably ain't getting in people's faces and screaming and that kind of shit. But he's a leader, man. That dude gets it done. I'm a Bryce Young guy through and through. Niners fan says Pep Hamilton. Okay, forgot about Pep. Good old Pep. Got a raw deal in Indy after Grigson blamed him for the O-line. Did wonders for Luck and Herbert's development. Forgot all about Pep Hamilton. We don't have a lot. I think Pep was the offensive coordinator under Lovey till Lovey just got canned. So you're right about Pep. Pep, Jim, and Eric. That's it. We shouldn't be able to name all of the black offensive coordinators on one hand, but we can. It ain't enough of those dudes. It's a lot of positional coaches that don't get sniffs. Yeah, like I was excited. I don't know, you know, Washington's on their whole, you know, diversity kick. So they're interviewing every brother under the sun. You know, at any position, they don't give a shit. I love it. That's cool. I'm all for it. Any exposure that, you know, these guys can get, whether they're going to get the job or not, it's good for them. Even if it's just going through the interview process and they've never been through it before, that's good for them. But it's a lot of running backs coaches. It's a lot of receiver coaches. It's a couple, not many of them. It's a couple quarterback coaches out there. We never hear their name mentioned for, you know, a head coaching opportunity or even an offensive coordinator. I mean, Reggie Wayne is sitting there on the Indianapolis Colts staff, and they pass him over to go out and go get Jeff Saturday and bring him in to be the head coach, interim head coach. I mean, what kind of shit is that? Don't talk to me about Jeff Saturday being a legend. He ain't a bigger legend than Reggie Wayne, who's been on your staff for the last 3-4 years. You can't get this man a sniff? Let him see what he can do? Give me a break, man. Byron Leftwich, forgot about him. He's fired, though. And last time I checked, nobody was beating down his door to give him more work. So we'll see. You know, Matt LaFleur's brother Mike gets fired, and he's already a new OC in LA with the Rams. I'm waiting on Byron Leftwich to get a job. I think he will, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's got to go be somebody's quarterback's coach or some shit like that. Anyway, how many more coordinators that are black did I forget about? Because that's 4 now. We up to 4. I still don't think we get past one hand, right? That's 4 guys. So Caldwell, and again, Caldwell is now, he considers himself a head coach now, as he should. He shouldn't be going back to the ranks of offensive coordinator, but Jim Caldwell, Pep Hamilton, Eric Bieniemy, Byron Leftwich, 4. Are there any more? Are there any more brothers out there? I don't think there are, but I could be wrong. I was done at 1. I was like, hey, it ain't no more. And then I thought it'd be Bieniemy. Then somebody was like Pep. Then, you know, boom, Leftwich. Rich says the problem with Young's size isn't his height. We've seen guys overcome that. It's his weight. He's extremely skinny, unlike Russ and Kyler and those other short guys. Yeah, I think the thickness does matter. Pause again. That deserved a double pause. Because we've seen frail body quarterbacks. If you're a Washington fan, Taylor Heineke, bless his heart. Yeah, he's short, but he's also thin. And he didn't take hits well, and he was always grimacing, and you were always worried about him staying healthy. That stuff matters. Sam Howell isn't that much bigger than these quarterbacks that we're talking about. He might be 6'1". He's probably more like 6 foot, but he's thick, like Baker Mayfield. Pause again. Like those guys that have that thicker frame, they can withstand some of the punishment that comes with being an NFL quarterback. But look at Baker Mayfield. He got his ass beat up, a couple years ago, had all kinds of ailments. You're right about that. That is a concern, but I'm willing to overlook it if you are. I know I'd take him in a heartbeat, despite his size. Protect him then. And he's a smart guy. He knows how to protect himself. He knows how to slide. Just make sure that he's not getting in harm's way. It's hard. It's the NFL. You're going to get hit. Things are going to happen. You're not wrong about that. But a lot of people aren't going to point to that. They're going to point to his height. And I'm not worried about it anymore. We've seen enough dudes overcome that to where that's not even an issue for me anymore. But you're right. The guy that's 6 foot, 5'11", 5'10", and 205 pounds at the quarterback position, that shit's dangerous. You want the guy that's 220, the guy that's 217 at 6 feet. That guy's thick and sturdy. Pause again. I don't think I've ever paused that many times on the podcast. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. Again. All right. So y'all are funny, man. Let's get to our final segment of the show and garbage time. So, Championship Sunday. 4 teams remain. The last 4 teams standing. NFL got it right. 4 best teams in the league are playing on Sunday. And I don't think that's up for debate. We thought the Bills were in that conversation, but clearly the Bengals are better than them. And so you've got a Bengals team. How many games have they won in a row? They've got to be on a nice little streak here, right? They have to be on every bit of a 8-9 game heater, right? When's the last time they lost a game? Let's look that up. See the Cincinnati Bengals schedule from this year. Bengals schedule. See what they did this year. Their last loss was to the Browns on a Monday night, it looks like, on Halloween. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight games they've won. Last loss was on Halloween. They haven't lost since October. 10 straight wins heading into this game. The Chiefs, their counterpart in this game, equally as dangerous. We knew they were one of the best teams in the AFC. We knew they were going to be one of the teams playing in the AFC Championship game. We've gotten to the point with Kansas City now that it's the Chiefs are there. Who are they playing? The Bengals have emerged as one of those teams they're not going away. They're going to be here for a while. I mean, that's what a quarterback can do for you. Then you got the Eagles, who really haven't lost this season but one time with Jalen Hurts. All right. They were the best team record-wise pretty much all season until Hurts got injured. So they've been the best team in the NFC all season long. And then the 49ers are on a similar track to the Bengals. They haven't lost in like 12 games. Whatever that number is. They were 3-4. What is that, 7 games? They finished up the season 13-4. So that's 11 straight, right? That's 10 straight, excuse me. That's 10 straight. And then they won 2 in the playoffs. So that's 12 in a row. So they're going into this game with a 12-game win streak. This is the 4 best teams in football, without question. So let's go through these games and let's talk about the keys to victory for the teams in the games, and I'll give you my predictions for these games. Now, you already know who I'm picking in the first game because I told y'all last week that San Francisco was going to win. They did. And I said the winner of Dallas, San Francisco, whether it was Dallas or San Francisco, that team was going to the Super Bowl. I'd already declared that last week. So you already know who I think is going to win this game. I'm going to tell you how they're going to be able to do that. And I'm going to be honest with you. The Eagles have a very good shot at winning this game, okay? Because there are 2 things that I'm looking at to start this game off that to me are beautiful contrasts that are going to clash in this game, and whoever wins out, I think ultimately will win the game. So for me, where it all starts is who wins the coin toss. If you're San Francisco, you want to win the toss, you want to defer to the second half, and then you want to stop Philadelphia from marching it down the field and scoring. If you're the Eagles, you win the toss, I'd take the football. I'd take the football and I'd look to go right down the field and score. And it's not often I advocate for, taking the toss and receiving the football. That I'm a defer to the second half through and through guy. I've been doing that since my Madden playing days. Never made sense to me why you would take the ball to start the game. I don't give a shit how good you are on offense. Doesn't make much sense to me. Even when I was playing Madden, you always wanted the ball after half. And my logic, and I don't know what anybody in the NFL's logic is. All I ever hear about is the double dip. I don't give a shit about double dipping. That's cool. But what I care about is I know the score when the game starts. It's 0-0. I don't know what the score is going to be after half. I could be up 10. I could be down 10. I could be down 6, but I just scored a field goal before half and I've got a little bit of momentum. And now I get the ball to start the second half. I could be down 14, but, get the ball after halftime, you score, and now it's a 7-point deficit and you're right back in the game. I've seen games where a team was down, 10-6, and without the other team touching the ball, the score is 20-10. You score right before the half, you get it after halftime, you score another touchdown, and now it's 20-10, and the other team hasn't even seen the ball. And when they last had the ball offensively, they were up 10-6. Having the ball after halftime first is invaluable. Now, nothing can happen. We make this whole big thing about getting the ball, and then you could go 3 and out right after half, and okay, what did that do for you? Nothing. I get that. But it's just knowing that's in your back pocket, knowing that, hey, we get the ball after half. We don't have to be aggressive here to end the first half. We get the rock after halftime. But if I'm Philadelphia, I'm trying to jump these boys because the thing that I've seen in all of these games that the 49ers have won, and I've watched them closely, and there's a common thread for me. They start incredibly slow on offense. Incredibly slow. And you can catch them napping on defense early too. There'll be some opportunities there, but they're going to be few and far between. You better take advantage of them when they come. Because they're not going to make many mistakes. They're going to give you some opportunities. You're going to get some one-on-one opportunities, and Jalen Hurts, he's going to take them. But they were down against Seattle early in that game. They were trailing at halftime. I know there was a stupid Jimmy Ward penalty right before half that allowed them to get that field goal, but they were struggling defensively and offensively rather too. In that game, they were down at half, 17-16. Now we saw what happened in the second half. It was 41-20, 41-17 before the Seahawks got the garbage time touchdown. Dallas, they were right there. They did not figure out what they needed to do offensively to Dallas until the last possession of the third quarter. They were stuck in neutral for the first 2 quarters, 2 2/3 quarters, 2 3/4 quarters. They were stuck in neutral before they figured it out and started actually moving the football. Philadelphia is notorious for starting fast. They've done it all season long. That's their MO. Jump you within the first 15 to 20 minutes of the game. You don't even know what happened, and you're already down 24-0. And then they just put it in neutral. They kind of just take their foot off the gas and just let it just roll down the hill. All right. If Philadelphia can get in this game, get the party started early, jump San Francisco before, because the crowd is going to be raucous. 49ers are going to be hyped up. And there's nothing worse than being hyped up and then getting smacked down. And next thing you know, you look up, it's 10-0, it's 13-0, it's 14-0. You're like, wait a minute, what the hell is going on? Because that shit they put last week against Dallas, where they're kicking all these field goals and they're getting in the red zone, they got these turnovers, but they're not capitalizing. You do that shit against Philadelphia, you will lose. Now, here's the other thing. Philadelphia's defense isn't as good as Dallas. I've been on that train all season long. I've caught flack for saying this. I don't give a shit. I know what they did sack-wise, and I'm still not sure how they got all the sacks that they've gotten, other than I think a nice chunk of them came from good coverage down the field. They've had some really good individual efforts too, but I look at Dallas's defense and the speed of which they play, that causes problems for teams. And the Eagles aren't as fast on defense. They got a really good group defensively. They're not Dallas, though. I'll stand by that. And I think we're going to see that. I don't think the 49ers are going to struggle to score the way that they did last week against the Eagles. They can score against Philadelphia's defense. If I'm Philadelphia, I'm trying to jump these boys before they even realize what the hell is going on, because San Francisco has started slow. If I'm the 49ers, I'm just looking to guard. In the NBA, when you go on a team's home floor that you know has the capability of scoring in bunches, i.e. Golden State, when they were in their heyday, when they were the Splash Brothers and they had it going, the coach would tell you, hey, look, you know they're going on a run, especially after halftime, that third quarter. They are still notorious for third quarter runs. Just weather the storm. You know this shit is coming. It's going to be a barrage. It's going to be 17-3 runs at some point. You just got to weather that storm. Crowd's going to get in it. Steph's going to take the top off of the arena with a 3 in transition. You just got to weather that storm. Come out on the other side of that thing, still standing up with your bearings, and you will be okay. Philadelphia is going to come out and they're going to look to punch the San Francisco 49ers in the mouth. Crowd is going to be juiced up. They're going to put together a slick first 15. I'm telling you right now, Shane Steichen is going to put a mean 15 together to combat what you like to do defensively. And you're going to be like, what the F just happened on that drive? It was 8 plays, boom, 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 boom. Jalen Hurts, pulls it out, looks like he's about to run it. He steps back and finds a wide open Dallas Goedert on a jump pass touchdown. It's 7-0. You're like, whoa. Hey, San Francisco, you better tighten the hell up. Okay? That shit was way too easy. You got to guard against that, because it's coming. Okay? I can also assure you, if it's 3rd and 6, the slant to A.J. Brown is coming. Defend that. Okay? Defend that. But also know, if he gets one-on-one with Devontae Smith outside or one-on-one with A.J. Brown outside, he's going to throw the deep ball. That shit's coming too. Be prepared for that as well. Dak missed some opportunities. Hurts hasn't really missed those down the field very often. If San Francisco can weather the storm early, if they come out, if this game is 6-3 after the first quarter, well, I don't care who's winning. If it's 10-6 at halftime, or 49ers going to win the game, and my prediction will hold true. It doesn't matter who's winning. They're down, they're up, doesn't matter. As long as that score is kept low in the 49ers strike zone, they're going to win the game. Even if the score is 21-17, but they're right there, they're going to win the game. What you don't want is you look up and it's 21-10 Eagles. 24-13 Eagles. Like, that's when you've gotten into that danger zone and you're on the brink of not having an opportunity. I feel confident in saying this. The Eagles will be able to pass protect in this game. Jalen Hurts will have time. Those linebackers and that secondary are going to have to step up in this game, because I was impressed with Dallas's ability to protect Dak Prescott. I thought he was going to be in trouble against that front of San Francisco, and he wasn't. He had time. And that line in Dallas is not the line in Philadelphia. Philadelphia has the best offensive line in football. I'll stake that claim right now. So if Dallas's offensive line can neutralize Boza and Armstead and Kinlaw and company, I shudder to think at what Philadelphia's offensive line is going to do. Now, I will tell you this as well. You ain't running that shit against San Francisco. This is a Jalen Hurts game in Championship Sunday. This is a Jalen Hurts game. All the shit that he's done this season to put himself in the MVP conversation, it's all led to this. You're going to have to win the game, one. This is your game to win. You will not see Miles Sanders dancing around in the end zone. Miles Sanders will not have 127 yards rushing in this game, and neither will you. This won't be Boston Scott getting inside the 5 and sneaking in. This ain't the Giants, okay? That shit is dead. Dead, I tell you. This is Jalen Hurts having to throw it 37 times and needing to throw for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what this game is about. And if he can do that, they're going to the Super Bowl. If he can't, if he struggles, if there's 2 turnovers, if somehow he doesn't feel, Nick Bosa on the backside, boom, ball's out. If he doesn't see that backside cover 3 corner and he thinks he's got it and he throws it across the field to Devontae Smith, who's got the guy beat, but here comes the backside corner, sagging off, pick, they're going to lose the game. He's going to have to win this game with his right arm. All that work, all the discussions, the back and forth banter about can Jalen Hurts beat you with his arm, shit comes to a head in this game. They're going to need it. He was really average against the Giants. Like, go look at his numbers. You watch the game. They didn't need a lot in the pass game, though. They ran it for over 260 yards, okay? So they didn't really need him. But he wasn't good. The first touchdown of the game by Dallas Goedert, that wasn't a good throw from Jalen Hurts. That's a hell of a catch, right? He's going to have to be better than that shit that he put on the field against the Giants last week. I know that was his first game back, Well, technically, no. He came back against the Giants in week 18, but he's going to have to be better. I'll just tell you that. And I think San Francisco and their linebackers in particular are going to be able to disrupt the Eagles. That secondary is going to step up, and they're going to fluster Jalen Hurts. They're going to get him off of his first read, force him to, and look, he'll have some time. He'll have some time. I don't know if the 49ers will be able to get pressure with just 4. They may have to get aggressive, and I don't know if they want to do that or not. But I don't think they'll get pressure with 4 consistently. They may get, 1 or 2 plays where they get to Hurts and force them to flush or whatever, but it won't be consistent. But they won't run the football. I'll be shocked if they have success running the football. There'll be 1 or 2 Jalen Hurts keepers where he's got some space and room to roam, and he'll pick up, 11 on one run and maybe 13 or 15 on another one. But that'll be the extent of big gains on the ground for the Eagles in this game. It's going to be Jalen Hurts. As for the Eagles defensively, what it really comes down to is, I've been talking about this all year. They went to the old folks home, got a couple of geriatrics out there, and they think they can stop the run now. I said the same shit about Dallas. Dallas went out and got Jonathan Hankins, and all of a sudden we fixed our run defense. We can stop the run now. Bullshit. And the 49ers called their bluff at the end of the third into the fourth quarter. And when they needed to stop the run, they couldn't. I'm calling the Eagles bluff here. You still can't stop the goddamn run. I still don't believe you can stop the run consistently. And unlike Dallas, where you could the outside runs were off limits. You can't run against Dallas to the edges. Stop that shit. That shit is back in play. You got old guys, Fletcher Cox and Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph and Brandon. You got 89-year-olds running around on that defensive line. Oh, you can get to the outside on these bastards. The entire 49ers run game playbook is available. That shit was cut in half last week. Stop that cute shit. Sprint left, come back right, and hand it to Debo. That shit is dead against Dallas. All of that shit is back in play this week against Philadelphia. You can run the ball against the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to see that. And once you start having success running the football, George Kittle, I said this shit last week, George Kittle is now up your seam, being a nuisance. All of a sudden now, here comes Brandon Ayuk on a little, shallow cross on a slant. Here comes Deebo Samuel on that deep dig. And now you got problems. Okay? Here comes Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield on a wheel route up the sideline. Now you got problems. All this shit is manufactured off the run game. You're going to see that. And I think the 49ers are going to be able to take advantage of an Eagles defense that has gotten way too much credit for being average this year. Above average. I shouldn't say that. Above average. But they really, the beauty of what they've done, the Eagles have done this year, is they've taken advantage of bad football teams, which is what you're supposed to do. I think them playing the Giants, that shit didn't help them last week. They didn't get better last week. They needed a test. San Francisco got a test last week. They needed that shit. Seattle is cool. That's a divisional photo. That's not what I'm looking for. I need a test. I need to know that I belong here. The Eagles ain't had no test for real. They're going to get one on Sunday, and I don't think they're prepared. I don't think they're prepared. I'll take the 49ers in this game. 26-22. 26-22. 49ers win this game. In the nightcap, in the AFC, I thought long and hard about this. I went back and forth. I was talking to my guy, Boss Man, and he's been on the Cincinnati Bengals, bandwagon and train pretty much since the word go. And he picked them last week, and I thought he was crazy. They're not going into Buffalo and winning. And what did they do? They went into Buffalo and they won. And he's like, they own Kansas City. They've won 3 or 4 straight against them. They've went into Arrowhead and won already. They did it last year in the AFC Championship game. They're playing with an abundance of confidence. And he said they got a 4-headed monster in Kansas City or in Cincinnati. They got Burrow and they got 3 receivers. And I don't think the Chiefs can stop them. Fair enough. He said, even if you sack Burrow 10 times, if he's got the ball with a chance to beat you, he's going to put a dagger in your heart. He's not wrong. He is not wrong. We've seen this shit happen before. And I was leaning Kansas City, and then I talked to him, and then I was like, man, you're probably right. He's like, and Mahomes is compromised. He can't even do the things he want to do. He want to run. He want to extend plays. He can't even do that shit. I'm like, man, you're right, though, man. Damn. You're probably right. Cincinnati going to win. But then you know what I saw? And because I really think it's Kansas City's game to lose. And here's why. When you get these types of games where one team has exerted dominance over the other, that's all you hear about leading up to the game. We saw this last year in a similar spot. NFC Championship game, Niners and Rams. All the Rams heard about all week is y'all can't beat the 49ers. Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay. They've won 6 or 7 in a row. And what happens in the biggest spot when it mattered the most, the Rams came up big and won the game. At some point, Mahomes is going to beat Joe Burrow. Hasn't done it yet, but at some point, it's going to happen. Think about it like this. Everything points to Cincinnati winning this game. Burrow's dominance over the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes being compromised in this game, not being at a full strength. The Bengals are playing, you could argue, their best football. This is as sharp a football team as we've seen in the postseason right now. Like, that game that they played against Buffalo was the best start to finish performance we've seen from any playoff team to this point. It was a clinic on the road against a damn good football team and reduced them to next to nothing, to the point now where people are having Josh Allen discussions for no reason. That's how bad they made the Bills look. And so everything points to Cincinnati, who made it to the Super Bowl. So this is a Super Bowl team from last year. So they've got the experience. They're not afraid. They went into Arrowhead, won last year. So you know they're not afraid of doing that. They've beaten this Chiefs team again this season in the regular season, beat them twice last year. And so they know they can beat them. And then there's the Mahomes factor. Practiced all week, already declared that he's going to play, but we know he's not 100%. All it takes is one little nick. Boom, he's right back to where he was last week, limping around. He'll go into the game feeling fine. But all it takes is for one guy to fall on him or one wrong step by him, and he's back. He starts the game at 87%, and one wrong move, and he's down to, 52%. Real quick. So at the end of the day, I'm taking in all this information, and I'm like, yeah, Cincinnati probably should win. But that's when you get got in this league. When you think you know the outcome because of all these factors that are staring you in the face, that's when you get got. And I think everyone is expecting the Bengals to go into Arrowhead, or as they're calling it now, Burrowhead. We all heard the soundbite from Mike Hilton. That shit's made its rounds. You don't think the Chiefs have heard that? Did you see Chris Jones's press conference today? You don't think they know about that? You don't think they're talking about that in the locker room? Did you see what I think it's the mayor of Cincinnati, did you see what he said? Burrow needs to ask for a paternity test to make sure that he's the father of Patrick Mahomes. Like, the disrespect is palpable. You can cut that shit with a knife. This has become a rivalry now. Deebo Samuel said last week to Dallas, don't poke the bear. The Bengals are poking the bear. Yep, you've beaten them a bunch of times. Yep, you're super confident, all that good stuff. I'm not telling you not to talk your shit. Just know that we've said this. I've talked about this. We've talked about this. You're free to say whatever you want. You're not free from the repercussions that come from what was said. Okay? There are consequences to everything that's said. Now, they could go out. They could make Arrowhead, Burrowhead. They can go in there, dominate those boys, win, advance to their second consecutive Super Bowl as the AFC champions. They can do that. And all that shit that they've been talking and all the stuff that's been said, they back it up. But I'm not looking to give out bulletin board material. I'm not looking to feed into that nonsense and to give them, they're already a good team. I'm not looking to give them even more incentive to want to beat us. But they have. And I'm looking at all of this stuff and I'm thinking, this is the time the Chiefs get them. Even I don't want to believe this shit because I'm like, ain't no way. This was going to be tough with 100% Mahomes. You got Mahomes at 60%, maybe 40% by the time the game's over. I don't know about this one. Lou, you might be making a mistake, dude. I think this is the time. This is the time. where the Chiefs rise up and say, not this time. Here's how it's going to happen. Number one, you got to protect Patrick Mahomes. And it may not even be just on this offensive line. You may have to go to the quick game. You may have to use the run game a little bit more this week. What you don't want to do is treat this like Mahomes is 100% because the Bengals are getting after folks. And unlike Jacksonville last week, who had a wounded duck there but didn't decide to blitz it, Luan Maruno, he's going to attack. If he sees Mahomes back there struggling to get to the mesh point on an outside zone handoff, oh, he's coming after his ass. Mike Hilton will be blitzing off of that slot. They're coming. You got to protect Patrick Mahomes. And really, you got to protect him from himself because Mahomes only knows how to play one way. He came back in the game and you like, after halftime, and it's like the first possession, you're like, all right, Pat, take it easy. Take it easy, man. Easy. And he's running around. And you're like, bro, what are you doing? He gets up. He looked better. First snap, he threw it. Second snap, he handed it off. Third snap, they got a little bit of pressure, and he starts running. And he gets up, and he's hobbling. I'm like, dude, you can't do that. He don't know how to play no other way. So you're going to have to protect him from himself. So that Travis Kelce short game, going to have to be on point. You're going to have to work Jerick McKinnon out of the backfield. Juju Smith-Schuster, I think he's going to have to be huge because he's another tough guy that you can force it to in some tight coverages. He can take a shot. He knows the Bengals all too well. His biggest hit came against Cincinnati, where they absolutely leveled him. So, I think the short passing game is going to be huge for the Chiefs, getting it out of Mahomes' hands. And then right when they start to relax, they start sucking up, thinking that they got to stop the short game. That's when you hit, Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Justin Watson over the top. We'll see if you can catch them napping. But I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to have to be huge in this game. Conversely, if you're Cincinnati, you want to take away the run game and you want to force Mahomes. We don't say this very often, but you want to make Mahomes beat you in this game because you got to understand that he's going to be fine to start, but as the game wears on, that ankle is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. It's like body blows. You just got to keep putting money in the bank. Eventually, you're going to be able to make some withdrawals late in that ball game. You just got to be close enough to do it. With that offense, you should be. But you can't let them. If you want that money to be deposited into your account, you got to make sure that he's not handing that puppy off comfortably and being able to manage the game that way. I worry about both teams' secondary in this game. I don't trust either one of them. You got a young corner out there for Cincinnati and Cam Taylor-Britt as a rookie. You got Eli Apple on the other side. That's some scary shit, man. That's not, I mean, he's one, sluggo away from getting cooked in this game if Mahomes has got the time. Like, I don't feel good about those boys. And then on the other side, you got a bunch of youngins running around for the Chiefs, but we'll see what happens. Burrow is probably going to take advantage of those young boys on the back end. You give him time, and that's going to be the key for Kansas City is, can you manufacture pressure? Chris Jones still does not have a playoff sack to his name. This is the game where they're going to need him to step. We know the Bengals have injuries up front. They've been playing musical chairs and shuffling shit around. This is the game you're supposed to get your shit off. They're probably going to double team you. I would if I were them because I don't think Frank Clark or anybody else on that team is capable of hurting me. I don't think George Karlaftis is going to all of a sudden rise up and blaze me for 3 sacks in this game. Make anybody but Chris Jones be the culprit. And it'd be great if you can run the ball. I don't trust the Bengals run game, but it was damn impressive last week. But that's not who they've been this season. But if they can run it, and that'll set up some opportunities down the field for Burrow, it's going to be hard for Kansas City to win this game if they can't stop the run. So I think when it's all said and done, both of these games are going to be so good. Golly, you got the 4 best teams in football going head to head. I love it. I Cincinnati probably gonna win, but I just got this gut feeling that Kansas City is somehow gonna pull this thing out on a late Harrison Butker. This has been a struggle for him this season, but I think on a late Harrison Butker field goal, the Chiefs are gonna win this game 30-27 in a thriller. Give me Kansas City. So Chiefs and 49ers, we've had this before, right? That was the 2019 Super Bowl when Mahomes got his first and only Super Bowl. He said it was so nice he wanted to do it twice. We'll see if that happens or not. Eagles are going to be standing in the way, and the Bengals are like, hey, I need mine. And Burrow's like, I need my first one, bro. You already got one. I need mine. I'm going to tell you this right now. I made this declaration last week. I'm standing by that. I stick by my story. Okay. I stick by my story that the team that won the game last week in the Dallas 49ers game was going to the Super Bowl to represent the NFC. The winner of Bengals and Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. It doesn't matter which one of those teams wins, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Whether it's San Francisco, Philadelphia, doesn't make me any difference. The winner of this game is going to win the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the 313th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I think I have a super chat or two, actually. Donnie Dragon. Oh, my God. I opened up a can of worms, didn't I? I did. Donnie Dragon, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, personally, I think Big Ben is the thickest. Pause. Yeah. Luck just couldn't wait. He just definitely was waiting on that, sitting on that fastball, huh? Yeah. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, when I was 11, I turned 13 because F12, that's all. I ain't mad at you. This is going to be a great weekend of football. And understand that this is the last real weekend of football. So enjoy it. Enjoy it, savor it. Because the Super Bowl don't really be feeling like this feels like the culmination of the season for me, not the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is like pageantry. There's a lot of people that don't normally watch football that's watching the game. You know, we hype up the commercials for them to be trash. There's the halftime show. There's a lot that goes, like, it don't really feel like a normal football game. It's too much going on. This is the last actual football weekend. Enjoy this. You know I will. Anyway, I digress. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll be back on Sunday, as we always are, right after the games to break it all down. I got a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to get both of these right. I feel good about both of these picks. I've only gotten two wrong to this point. I had Tampa beating Dallas, but I told y'all that if Dallas didn't turn it over, they would win. I feel like I should be able to take credit for that, but I predicted Tampa would win because I thought Dallas would turn it over. But I said if they don't turn it over, they're going to win and win pretty handily. I didn't think they would win in the manner that they won it, but Tampa Bay stunk all season long. I had been talking about that. Then I lost the Buffalo game. And I lost Minnesota. Never mind. I lost the Minnesota game. I thought they would beat the Giants. I lost the Buccaneers game. Thought they would beat Dallas, and then I lost the Bills game. I thought they would beat Cincinnati. But anyway, I got a feeling that this is going to be my first clean weekend. How about that? When it matters most. We'll see. Anyway, Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? Got two of them in the chat. My day is complete. Oh, man. They had to be some newbies. They didn't know any better, man. Shame on you, Luck. Picking on the young fellas, man. They just got here. They don't know what's up. You had to be the one to bless them, huh? Terrible. Anyway, I'm out of here, man. Y'all have a great weekend, man. I'll see y'all on Sunday after the games. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.